If you believe that being a good man is enough to succeed in this world, you are already dangerously mistaken. The world does not reward goodness, it exploits it. Look around. The kindest men are often the ones most exhausted, betrayed, and quietly wondering, why does this keep happening to me? You help, you trust, you tell the truth. And for what? To be ignored, used, replaced. Society tells you to be honest, humble, and kind, that all will be well if you just stay good. But history teaches something far more brutal. Those who hold power, real power, understand a truth that most refuse to accept. Goodness without wisdom is weakness. The name Machiavelli is often misunderstood. It stirs images of manipulation, cruelty, and cold ambition. But he was never teaching men to become monsters. He was revealing a truth that few dare confront. The world respects strength, not virtue. People will tolerate you only as long as you serve their interests, and when you no longer do, they will discard you without hesitation. Machiavelli wasn't glorifying evil, he was warning the naive. His darkest lesson wasn't about ruthlessness, it was about survival. He said, in effect, a man who is always good will be destroyed in a world that is not. You've seen it, in boardrooms, in politics, in your own relationships. The silent employee who works late, never complains, forgotten. The loyal friend, taken for granted. The devoted partner, abandoned, misread as weak. These men thought virtue alone would shield them. It didn't. We were raised on fairy tales that goodness leads to reward, that right triumphs over wrong, that the noble path is the victorious one. But fairy tales end at childhood. The real world doesn't function on justice. It moves on power, perception, and positioning. Goodness without discernment invites exploitation. The overly generous, the endlessly forgiving, the ones who can't say no. These men live with open hands and bleeding hearts, waiting for fairness in a world that does not promise it. They give more than they receive and expect the universe to return the favor. But the universe is indifferent, and people, more often than not, will take everything you're willing to give, then walk away when you have nothing left. That's not a reason to abandon goodness, but it is a call to fortify it. Machiavelli never said to be evil, he said to be wise, because a good man without strategy is a sheep among wolves. Machiavelli believed that true power lies in balance. A man who is only good will be destroyed by those who are cunning, but a man who is only ruthless, without reason, will eventually implode under the weight of his own chaos. The key is not to abandon kindness, but to refine it. Be kind, but never blind. Be fair, but never at the expense of your own survival. The world does not reward blind virtue. It rewards those who play the game with their eyes open. This is not a cynical view. It is a sober one. And it is necessary. The most unsettling lesson Machiavelli ever offered is also his most essential. Men are self-interested, volatile, and when pressed, merciless. You may wish to believe otherwise, but history, observation, and your own experiences will tell you the same story. When survival is threatened, when power is within reach, when personal gain is on the line, morality becomes flexible. Look at politics. Leaders speak of justice, change, and compassion, but behind closed doors, they make ruthless deals to protect their influence. In business, companies promote their ethics and values, while laying off thousands and crushing smaller competitors in pursuit of profit. In personal relationships, people praise loyalty and honesty, until a temptation emerges that makes betrayal seem justified. This is not because people are inherently evil, it is because the instinct to survive will always outrun the discipline of virtue. Machiavelli did not reject morality, he redefined it. He understood that morality is not an unshakable law of the universe, it is a strategy. Some follow moral codes because they truly believe in them, others follow them only when it serves their purpose. And that difference is everything. If you depend on honesty, generosity, or fairness, without understanding the nature of those around you, you will always be at the mercy of those who understand the game better than you. There is a critical distinction between morality as personal belief and morality as survival tool. Those who treat it as an absolute rigid truth often suffer the most when reality does not cooperate. But those who see morality as part of a larger strategy, as something to be wielded with wisdom, stand a far greater chance of surviving, even thriving, in the real world. This is what Machiavelli truly meant when he spoke of power. He was not asking men to become villains. He was urging them to see the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. Once you understand human nature, you stop expecting fairness from those who profit by exploiting you. You stop assuming that good intentions will shield you from harm, and most importantly, you begin making decisions from clarity, not from blind belief. In the end, it is not who you are that commands loyalty, it is who others perceive you to be. Men do not follow the most moral, or the most intelligent, or even the most capable. They follow the man who appears powerful, the one who speaks with certainty, who walks with intent, who does not beg for respect, but radiates it. History has proven this truth, time and again. Charismatic leaders rise not because they are right, but because they look like they belong in command. In business, it is often the confident, not the competent, who are trusted with decisions. In everyday life, the man who enters a room with quiet authority is instantly seen as more important, more desirable, more respected. Perception creates power, and the man who does not understand this will forever be led by those who do. Machiavelli understood this more deeply than most men ever will. He wrote that a leader does not need to be truly virtuous, he only needs to appear so. He does not need to be ruthless at all times, but when he is, it must look deliberate, necessary, and justified. He does not need to be loved, but he must never be seen as weak. The way you present yourself, your posture, your gaze, your voice, your silence, determines how the world reacts to you. Hesitation is punished. Self-doubt invites domination. And men who constantly seek approval are quietly dismissed by those who command it without asking. In contrast, those who act with certainty, whether or not they are correct, often compel loyalty. That is why the most powerful individuals, whether politicians, executives, or manipulators, all master one skill: the control of perception. They know that real power is not always about having the right answer. It is about making others all believe that you do. The world does not reward quiet competence. It rewards those who control how they are perceived. If you allow others to define how they see you, you will forever be ruled by their perception. But if you learn to shape it, to walk with strength, to speak with intention, to embody resolve, you will hold influence long before you take any action. Control perception, and you control interaction. And this leads to one of the most overlooked truths of power. Information is control. The modern world is obsessed with exposure. Oversharing is mistaken for authenticity. Men broadcast their fears, their dreams, their insecurities, believing that vulnerability will buy them respect. It does not. A wise man, like the leader Machiavelli envisioned, guards his inner world. He reveals only what is necessary, because the moment you disclose everything, you surrender control. The more people know about you, the easier you are to predict, manipulate, and weaken. Every unnecessary detail, your anxieties, ambitions, weaknesses, becomes potential ammunition in someone else's arsenal. Consider this. In negotiation, the man who speaks too much forfeits leverage. In friendship, the one who begs for validation loses respect. In business, revealing your full strategy too early invites your own defeat. Excessive explanation is not clarity, it is exposure. It places you at a disadvantage. It tells the world what you fear, what you crave, what you lack. The most powerful men in history were not loud, they were measured. Not because they were uncertain, but because they understood one principle: mystery magnifies authority. They kept others guessing, not through erratic behavior, but through disciplined silence. They never explained too much. They revealed only fragments, and in doing so, they created a presence that demanded attention without ever asking for it. Consider the leaders who command respect without raising their voice. They do not explain themselves eagerly, nor do they offer every thought that crosses their mind. Instead, they cultivate curiosity. They remain measured, reserved, deliberate, forcing others to lean in, to guess, to seek their approval rather than receiving it freely. The more you speak, the more you reveal. The less you say, the more power you retain. Observation teaches more than expression. When you speak with precision, when every word carries intention, others listen because they know your silence is not emptiness. It is presence held in reserve. Seeking constant validation is submission in disguise. It makes you a hostage to other people's opinions. Silence, on the other hand, is not weakness. It is control. Machiavelli understood that power is not just what you do, but how others perceive what you might do. When people cannot fully read you, they cannot fully prepare for you. What is always available is easily forgotten. What is rare is remembered. This truth applies not only to resources, but to human behavior. The more accessible you are, the less valued you become. And yet, many believe that being endlessly generous, ever-present, and agreeable will make them indispensable. In reality, it makes them replaceable. The one who always says yes becomes the one who is expected to say nothing else. The one who gives without boundary is quietly resented, not admired. The one who never steps away becomes part of the background. Familiar, unimpressive, and easy to ignore. True authority is not built by always showing up, but by choosing when to show up. Those who control their presence create demand by mastering their absence. The most effective leaders understand how to vanish with purpose. When you retreat, you create space. When you return, you reclaim it with greater weight. Words spoken rarely are heard more clearly. Generosity offered sparingly is appreciated more deeply. Those who preserve their time, their thoughts, their attention, those are the ones others begin to chase. This is why those at the top of the influence, executives, icons, leaders, do not allow themselves to be casually accessed. Their scarcity breeds fascination. Their distance demands respect. So how do you live this? You begin by withholding what you once gave too freely. You offer your presence with intention, not out of habit. You appear when necessary, not when expected. You train others to value your time by not giving it away carelessly. You say no, not out of rejection, but out of discipline. You allow others to earn your yes. You never reveal everything. You keep a part of yourself unseen, not out of fear, but to build strength in privacy. You stop explaining. You start observing. You reduce the noise, and in doing so, you amplify your presence. Machiavelli's insight is unwavering. Scarcity generates power. Controlled exposure builds influence, and distance, used wisely, commands deference. He never opposed kindness. He opposed weakness masked as virtue. The lie we are told is that goodness alone will earn us respect, that honesty alone will shield us, that giving endlessly will secure our place. But reality does not honor the well-intentioned. It rewards the well-prepared. Goodness without boundaries becomes exploitation. Honesty without discretion becomes vulnerability. And a demand for respect without the structure to support it becomes noise no one hears. Machiavelli understood this. He never told men to be cruel, he told them to be strong. True power lies not in abandoning kindness, but in mastering its balance with discernment. Look to the most respected leaders in history, the ones whose presence shifted the course of nations. Were they kind? Yes, but never weak. A wise leader rewards loyalty, yet removes threats without hesitation. A strong individual helps others, but never at the expense of his own survival. A powerful man chooses his battles. He does not exhaust himself trying to please the world. Kindness is a choice, not an obligation. It must be reserved for those who prove themselves worthy of it, not for those who take it for granted. And it must always be tempered by the ability to say no, to walk away, to protect what is yours without apology. The question is not whether you are good. The question is whether you are in control. The world does not reward passive goodness. It rewards those who know when to be kind and when to be unyielding. So the real question becomes this: will you keep waiting for the world to treat you fairly, or will you take control of your fate? The choice is yours. The game is already in motion. Refusing to play it does not make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. If this message has shifted something in the way you think, do not let it end here. Power is not in knowing, it is in applying. Most men hear lessons like these, nod in agreement, and return to the exact same behaviors that keep them powerless. Don't let that be you. From this moment forward, observe the world differently. Watch how people respond to strength. Notice how those who give too freely, without structure, are taken for granted. And most of all, begin making real adjustments to your life. You don't need to be ruthless, but you must be awake. You don't need to be cruel, but you must be in control. If you want to be respected, to be powerful, to be truly influential, you must learn to temper your goodness with wisdom. Because in a world that rewards strategy over sentiment, awareness is your sharpest weapon. And if you're ready to keep learning the hidden truths about power, human nature, and the psychology that governs influence, then subscribe now and turn on notifications. In a world that honors the calculated and the disciplined, knowledge isn't just power, it is survival.